course, Arun, Sudhir, and Praveen are here, but I do not look to them as one of the leading thought leaders and influencers in the trade space, but rather as someone creating what I term as the new digital Silk Road for the rest of ASEAN, in Middle East, Asia, and other parts of the world. More importantly, there are two other people in this panel that you cannot see, but are actually here with us in spirit. So when I was first invited by my friend Arun, I said there is no better way to open WFIS in Indonesia than to have two people I admire most in ASEAN. That would be Patriono Gani and also Ibu Mercy of AFTECH. I have been received very warmly the last time as we talked about what the potential together we can do in putting ASEAN in the overall global map. Unfortunately, they were called last night. So up until I think 2 days ago, we were all planning to on how to present this fireside chat. But they were called on to very, very important legislative shaping agenda for this morning. But we are no less honored to be with friends, both from OJK, our very own Ibu Novitha, Bachtiar. Thank you, madam, for joining us, who's actually been working closely on our work streams between the Philippines and Indonesia, and our new friend, Firlie Ganinduto of AFTECH. So let's all get started. I remember last July, it's not only in the financial services space where Indonesia is actually shaking up the world. I was in an art conference of all places called Documenta in Kassel, Germany. Well, I'm sure many of you know that this Indonesian collective called Ruang Rupa has actually caused and created a global stir. How many of you guys are familiar with Ruang Rupa? You're probably not familiar with it because it's in a totally different side of the world, which is art. But are you guys familiar with the word lumpo? Lumpo? Am I saying it right, Ibu Novi? So lumpo, together with the Philippines, we have a word for it called bayanihan, which is essentially the spirit and process of building a community together. And today, we are going to tackle the very important FinTech ecosystem in Indonesia as it pertains to ASEAN and the rest of the world. And one of the things that has really stood out is the very, very close cooperation between AFTECH, the private sector, and also OJK in the governmental sector. Without further ado, Ibu Novi, would you like to say a little bit about your specific work in OJK and also at the same time a message to our partners?
Thank you, Ms. Amor. Good morning, everyone. I'm Novitha Bachtiar from OJK. I'm the Deputy Director at the OJK's Group of Financial Innovation Unit. It's actually I just joined the unit of Digital Innovation Group, and I'm so thrilled to be part of the most, I think I would say, the front and center in this digital era. So it's a very interesting post to be in. Before that, I deal a lot with international affairs of OJK and also work very closely with Bayan Mancha and also had the opportunity to work at the chairman's office. So very glad to be here, to be with Ms. Amor and about Firlie. So I hope I could share a thing or two with you today.
Thank you so much. Firlie, the floor is yours.
Morning, everybody. Thank you, moderator. Yang saya hormati Pak Masyaf, Bu Novi, my counter speaker. this morning. I guess try to introduce myself in 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes. Yeah, okay. Anyway, just to cut it short, I was in the oil and gas sector in the last 15 years actually, and then trying to move out to the digital space in beginning of the COVID era, which is in the last 2-3 years. So I'm kind of new in this industry, but just to cut it short, I also other than in AFTECH, I'm also in AFTECH, which is the FinTech peer-to-peer lending associations. And I also the vice chairman in Ganinduto, which is Chamber of Commerce, particularly on the communications and informatics, so focusing on the digital infrastructures. So I can, I try to pronounce myself as a digital enthusiast now. Try to move from a conventional business to the more future, related or to have a bright future industry. So other than that, I leading a credit scoring and PYC companies. I also have the aggregator in financial sectors. And then I also advise in one of the digital banks in Indonesia. And then, I also being angel investors as my fun side of the life. So I think that's pretty much it.
Don't worry, Firlie. I think all of us are newbies here. We are always going to be new in this industry with the fast evolving technologies coming about. You mentioned something about investments, and since this is a fireside chat, and the room is freezing for me, let's start with something hot and fiery. Everyone is saying that the world is experiencing a winter, not just for digital assets, but for investments, and everyone's talking about a contracting of the economy. The macro figures are really not looking very bright. It doesn't seem like that in Indonesia. It doesn't seem like there's any winter in Indonesia or here in Southeast Asia. Let's start with you, Ibu Novi. What's your comment on that? There's no winter in Southeast Asia.
It is true, literally, and also, like what you said, macroeconomically. We are very blessed that the government does the right thing, did the right thing. So we have emerged from the pandemic really successfully, even managed to grow our economy. And I think one of the factors that contribute to that is also the growing digital economy in Indonesia.
Absolutely. Even in the Philippines, we birthed our first ever, we birthed the first duocorn, and actually birthed 2 unicorns precisely during the pandemic. No winter in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with what Novitha said. I mean, especially in the digital sector here, right? Pandemic give us a silver lining. Lining out of the dark clouds here, right? Especially from the digital sectors here, whereas the people are trying to change their behaviors. Where I think I can show this difference. The growth of the digital space is so much bigger, in the last 2 years. So and this is different compared to the guys in the Europe, for example. I was in London last 2 weeks ago. Also, and you know, and they are still talking about conventional financial sector more than the digital, digital. Yeah, surprisingly, and you know, here like you know, in ASEAN, in Singapore, in Indonesia, Philippines, perhaps, you know, even bigger in Philippines. We are talking about and crazy, you know, like talking about crypto, right? You know, what is this thing? You know, where is this going? Web3, you know, blockchain, and all that kind of things. Now, when I mention about crypto in London, you know, they're like, what is that thing? You know? So it's you know, I think that's you know, gives a good signs for us, you know, in this part of the region where you know we can be the leader in terms of the you know, crypto you know, currencies. You know, if I'm allowed to say that in front of OJK, but anyway, I think crypto has a big future here, and we can be the leading sector to develop the technology alongside with ASEAN. And I have to highlight, you know, this year we are the superstar on top of we are the presidency of the B20, G20 next year in ASEAN. You know, digital sector, digital financial sector can be, you know, a leading sector that we can showcase to the world alongside with, you know, ASEAN countries. You know, those that we can grow the sector of not only the ASEAN but the world.
Precisely. In 2019, AFTECH was officially appointed by OJK as the Association of Digital Financial Innovation, or IKD, right? So, you mentioned the leadership in G20 and also the incoming leadership in ASEAN. I believe in my heart that one of the reasons that is propelling Indonesia as an emerging giant in not just the region but the world is the amazing dynamics both OJK and AFTECH have forged in working together. Would you like to describe a little bit about that dynamic, Nam?
Sure. So AFTECH and other associations, like Association Digital Innovation Associations in Indonesia, has very important role. It is perhaps some may say an standard arm of OJK in terms of monitoring the players in Indonesia. So it also assists us in implementing a good code of conduct for the FinTech players in digital innovation institutions. So we may also say that it is AFTECH, it is also included in our lines of defense, if I may say. That would actually we've been working or collaborating very closely in the past years after AFTECH was established. And I think you know, we would say that in the future it will be even more we will be working even more closer together. And I think in terms of ASEAN that you mentioned and Firlie mentioned, I think it is also time to expand the cooperation. So OJK has been working closely with the regulators, other regulators in ASEAN and beyond, and also digital innovation, FinTech also included in our collaboration, but it would also be really helpful and would help accelerate the impact if we also work with associations in ASEAN countries such as the Philippines and others. So I think the time is now and for us to get the collaboration.
So what I'm hearing here is the whole of nation, whole of society, and now a cross-border approach to working closely together. Thank you, ma'am. Firlie, I know you're very active in the B2B lending space. And in the Philippines, that has actually yielded a lot of risks, right? Operational, reputational risks in the B2B lending space. Can you update us on the current status of B2B lending here in Indonesia? And what do you think should we be doing differently in other markets?
Yeah, digital lending. This is a very interesting topic. Why? Because I think digital lending is one of the first FinTech area that we are establishing, right? Because AFTECH was created at the time by most of them are digital lending and payments administration. So anyway, one of the sectors that grew massively during the pandemic time is the digital lending, for sure. This is because the people, the communities perceive digital lending as the alternative source of fund for them to recover from pandemic. Because the way that the digital lending is operating compared to the conventional banks, they are more accessible by small medium enterprises. So to give you some statistics, it's the growth of digital lending is disbursed in July 2022 has reached 18.9 trillion or 1.2 billion US dollar, with number of borrower accounts reached over 16 million accounts, grew 89.67%. That's a very big number, right? No winter at all. So and the number is keep growing. This is what we are expecting also to achieve what the government targeting and what Mr. President Jokowi mentioned about doing to establish more inclusivity in terms of the financial products. So I have to say that even though digital lending facing some challenges in terms of the regulations, but I can see that the demands, the growth are still there. Obviously we need to do something about the regulations. We have to sit down with OJK on how we tackle this kind of challenge, which is I think it's solvable in near future, because I can sense that OJK now have more friendly digital thanks to Imansyah, Bu Novi and team. So this is just just a matter of time that we are working out on the latest regulations, on peer-to-peer. But again, I have to reiterate again, we have to keep the governance level at optimum level. Of course, that's something that we have to safeguard. On it, Bu Novi mentioned about how associations being the first line of defense. That's what we do. A lot of challenges other than regulations. We are facing the illegal peer-to-peer lender also, which is not totally a peer-to-peer lending business model, but more on the like predatory lending kind of things, but on the online version of it. And this is massively grown as well in the last year. But the government, I think the government works hands on hands. OJK, I think they have a satgas also to manage, to handle, and to eliminate this kind of problems, this kind of issues. I think they're also working with the police. It's been very effective. I think OJK leading this initiative, and it's now getting reduced and reduced, and and it eventually will go away. And I was hoping that the industry will come back, turn around, and keep the growth rate at the positive side.
One of the important topics that I really wanted to give you a teaser on has something to do with reforming the global data governance as specified in G20. And more specifically, something I'm hoping to collaborate more closely on with OJK and the Philippines is the concept of FinTech. So many of you guys are familiar with RegTech, and I saw a lot of many RegTech companies out there, but really the idea of regulation, teching up regulators, not just in Indonesia but across ASEAN, is something I hope to pursue closely. Please tell us about the current FinTech framework of OJK, and how do you think can it apply to other markets outside of Indonesia?
Okay, good question. I will try to answer. OJK has been developing the FinTech. We're working towards FinTech to as our approach for the financial sector, and we have been getting assistances on our regulatory framework. So I think we will implement it in stages, and the first thing that seems like a huge task is to how to manage the data, because we have this existing system, and we need, for FinTech, we definitely need data. We have to admit that data is really crucial if we're talking about FinTech. And what we have now that are still scattered and not integrated, so we need to work on that. Definitely data standardization and quality need to be made more effective, and then also for the capacity of our supervisors so that they could work on the big data and perform their duties as supervisors. So those are the two challenges that we are encountered, but I think with the dedication and commitment from our top level management at OJK, we will make it happen. And in terms of other countries, it really depends on each country. Has different approach. Some want the sector to be heavily regulated, some not. And in Indonesia, we have been following the method of light touch safe harbor. So we try to find a good balance between the good regulation, effective regulations, which are still conducive to the innovations. So that I think in the long run we need to be able to apply it, implement it effectively, and also be mindful of the risks that might occur, such as cybersecurity risk is definitely present in implementing something. Also, third-party risk, where we start to be dependent on a third party, such as to store our data, computing and whatnot. I think the risk of third-party risk might occur. So we need to make sure that we are ready for that and know how to eliminate those challenges so that we can implement it effectively.
This afternoon, you'll hear more about Indonesia's role in ASEAN FinTech leadership during my talk on digital and bayanihan lumpur as we grow ASEAN together. Time's up. Last 60 seconds from each of you. SMEs have been hardest hit during the pandemic, and I really commend AFTECH, OJK, and even Ganinduto for its efforts in SME digitalization. What's in store? 60 seconds, properly on digitalization of SMEs in Indonesia.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me here, Emily. It's good batting. Yeah, digitalization is one of our main topics here. It's one of the things that being repeated in all, most of the events in Indonesia, including the G20. I think digitalization is one of the 5 main topics, which is we have a digitalization task force. A lot of things that we are discussing, not only SMEs but all other things also, and the things that also need to be mindful that Indonesia is ready for that. Why I'm saying this because in terms of the regulation framework, we are we just released a PDP regulations, which is on the privacy data protections regulations, which is pretty similar to what GDPR in Europe. And I can assure you that our PDP regulations is the best in the world, So once the regulation being released, I can assure you that a lot of investors coming in, looking at this regulation is very friendly in terms of favorable to the industry, and also the infrastructure. We also work along with the government to develop the infrastructure to make sure that all the digital space are supported by the infrastructures in Indonesia, and I think we ready. We are leading up the G20 this year, and we will be ready for the ASEAN. And I have a very good confidence that we can lead the digital sectors in the world. Thank you.
Last 60 seconds, Madam, women and inclusion and digitalization in Indonesia.
Okay, thanks. So women hold a very important role in financial inclusion in Indonesia. It is almost half of the population of Indonesian women. And also the MSMEs, almost 50% of our MSMEs are owned by women. So when women are owners of MSMEs, they employ women. So almost 100% of the employees are women. So it is really a great way to promote our financial inclusions for underserved groups in Indonesia, including women. So that's why women's access to financial services is very important. Financial inclusion is very important. And I think it has also a lot to do with financial literacy. So it's very crucial to increase the financial literacy among women in Indonesia, also including the digital financial literacy. And OJK has also been working on that. We have several programs for financial inclusion for women, including the digital literacy module for women. Also, women and MSMEs are very have very important roles in Indonesia, such as it helps their business grow very fast and also sometimes make it borderless with e-commerce and things like that. So I think the e-commerce platform and making the women on board with digital transactions very important, and I have seen a lot of that within the past few years and also triggered by the pandemic. So if you would also like to visit the OJK website, we have a lot of information on that, including the digital financial literacy for women.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing all of you later this afternoon. And big thank you to our friends, not just in Trade Fest, in OJK, and also in AFTECH. Mabuhay po kayo lahat. Thank you. All right. Ladies and gentlemen.